the sole hope of Australia, right? Well, okay, there's another few Australian players in there, but he's the front runner. He's discount hot. Can he make everyone a discount snooper, though, is the question mark. Yeah, Abbasids, Delhi, and definitely would have seen Roos. Delhi a little bit more surprising to me, but Abbasids and Roos make a lot of sense. I've watched this guy for a very long time. A very entertaining guy. Most people maybe remember him. Like, I think the big signature moment for him would have been in the 3v3 tournament. His team looked pretty hot, and also there would have been the Villager-only challenge, which I think he was the first person to do frequently. On the other side, we've got Baltoon. Baltoon, who, you know, to those who are really full-on boomer mode, this name might be familiar. Baltoon is an Age of Empires 1 player. That's right, you heard me correctly. Those still exist, right? They're relics. Some of them literally work for Relic, but you know they actually exist around. The cool thing actually is like Baltoon, despite the fact he was trying to go pro in AoE 1, he's not a boomer like you'd think. Baltoon is actually only about like 20, 21, I think. He's born in 2002. So pretty cool to think that the Swede decided to, like, you know, invest some spare time into AoE 1. A scene that really wasn't even thriving or big. Maybe most people didn't want to look towards it. But now here he is trying to evolve into an Age of Empires 4 beast. And he's picked a beast in this matchup. English on a 12 villager start could have some interesting impacts. We haven't seen it in this game, but I mark my words, folks. There's a potential for people to make villager pulls towards the enemy base with these extra villagers they can float now. I wonder if we'll see that when we get into round 2 of Golden League 2. But for the time being, they're both just playing very safe and very locked in. But the question mark is who gets the bigger edge here? Because I think the interesting part is, like, some people would argue that starting with extra villagers is a bigger advantage for civs that want to be aggro compared to civs that want to eco boom up. But the counter argument is actually eco civs that want to boom up are going to unlock their boom quicker because of that faster start. I think if anything, what you're going to see out this 12 Villi start is certain civs are going to more or less kind of function the same. They're going to follow the same path, just a little bit faster. But there are maybe 2 or 3 civs that come to mind that I think are going to be a lot better. I think the Chinese, for one, are heavily going to benefit from their flexi to getting into the bar, become more aggro, and going up into the song quicker. But the bigger ones to me is something like the English with potential villager pulls, as well as the Roos with the ability to go out on things like boars immediately at the beginning of the game. Something that's going to be a lot harder for people to potentially counter. Because I think a lot of people's instinct with this change, with the double villager start, is to go more greedy, right? To kind of go for the later timings. Because technically, by having 6 additional villagers at the start, you should unlock your feudal age, your castle age, your second, third TC, whatever you're going for, much quicker. And it makes it a much more sexy proposition. Especially when you consider how difficult it is to set up early aggro, right? You have to build each individual production building. You have to make sure you're able to fuel them. It just feels like a slow and arduous process. But, upping up, Baltoon has flexed onto those deer. I love seeing this. I think more and more English players are starting to kind of get wise to this, the value that you can get out of it. You know, it is a little bit risky, but usually you can see the aggro coming. And to be honest, the way that you're going to function with this type of build, like you get your initial sheep, you go onto the deer, and then you scout. You can defensively scout to see any sort of aggro coming your way. And if you do see you're going to be friend, pull these villagers back and start building farms. But you know, I love that we're moving past the days of me England, me build farms, ugh. And honestly, folks, just don't. It's not your #1 priority anymore. I think even if you want to go for like super defensive play, you know, read whether you need to be ultra defensive or whether you can save the early wood to invest elsewhere. Well, I guess start seeing those TCs come out from Snooper. How many TCs you think, folks? He went up with the Culture Wing. This could be a fast castle build, but then it's Snooper. Could it be an all-villager build? You know, that's the query for me. That's the stroke of the chin moment. Let me just start typing my chat. I guess I can shout you out. Oh, look at that. I see Avali in the chat. I'm his favorite cast. You know what, Avali? I think we might check you out after this. And big shout out to my boy Lash. I see him coming through. I'm looking forward to checking you out in round 2 of Golden League. In fact, maybe you've been doing a little bit of practice already. A bunch of players have, right? You know, like even some players who haven't been eliminated, from what I've heard, might have been like experimenting a little bit, just to kind of, you know, massage their brain per se. But now that we look at this game, early aggro is coming in from Baltoon. Notice he did go for the counter haul. And he did start pushing hard into longbows. Now remember, this is an interesting play what Baltoon's done here. Because you've got a stronger economy very early on, there aren't necessarily any gaps in your production. In fact, there's so little in terms of gaps in your production, Baltoon was able to afford not only longbows, but also men-at-arms. He skipped right past baby arms into the boy arms, which means they are going to be a decent amount more chunky and a little bit more lethal towards Snooper. Snooper, who, so far, doesn't realize that we are playing a PvP game here. The only thing he's interested in killing are these berries. Oh, pour one out for last. You just said he won't be able to participate in round 2. You will be missed, my friend. Round 3. That'll be your time. Look at this, man. Honestly, it's very interesting the way Baltoon's playing this. Like, to my whole point earlier, they said he was an AoE1 pro. You can kind of tell it, right? Like, you know, I feel like AoE1 is probably the most aggressive Age of Empires I've seen. And he's definitely kind of screening that and pushing it through into AoE4 with this early timing. Just sees the early extra villages you get and says, you know, that sounds like more aggro to me. He might be able to catch Snooper off guard. Snooper is yet to build any defenses, and going into racks is possibly the worst option you've got here. Up against mass lombos, going into the racks instead of, say, the archery ranges. But then, obviously, you wouldn't have an answer to the ramps, right? It's a tough one. I feel like Snooper's going to lose this secondary TC, or he's going to lose several villages to try and protect it. I mean, double ram at this stage is brutal. Movement in. Now, Snooper, he saw these being built up. Baltoon confidently done it right in his face. Lombos, enough are here to just kill off the villages straight away. The Snooper, he tries to micro this correctly. Needs to be careful. You can only pull 10 villages out. The men-at-arms are slowly clubbing through here. Ram's already half done. There's no way. I mean, Snooper cannot keep this alive. Like, the Lombos can just dive now. So second TC is going to be going down. But Snooper is going up, remember. This was a double TC into military wing build. So the fast castle age. Now, it's interesting he went for the culture wing. Could have went for the traders. Probably actually would have got similar or better value, but if he was always worried about this threat, it's understandable why you choose the culture wing as opposed to the opportunity that the trade wing provides you. After all is said and done, Snooper, it's going to be a bit of a Hail Mary here. Food source, not looking great. I don't think he's got that many sheep, and that's worrying for me. You know, he has got 600 food saved up. He'll get the initial men-at-arms out, but keep in mind, you know, enough of these Lombos, especially the men-at-arms added in, I think you can tickle down a few MAA, especially initial ones. In fact, Baltoon, you crafty devil, he's like, can I maybe wiggle in here? Because I see what he's doing. I see the military wing. It still isn't completed yet. I see the racks. I see all these villagers begging to be killed, and these racks alongside it. He's going to make the move. Now, Snooper, this is tough. You need every bit of food you can get, my friend. Houses, love this play from Baltoon. Notice he doesn't prioritize the racks. He goes straight after the housing. And Snooper, if he loses this house, yeah, he needs to rush him up. And the Lombos could wrap around and just prevent all these villages from doing anything. Time being, Baltoon is just trying to block the initial MAA. Stables also being layered in. Where are the... Oh, wait, no, it's the military wing. I'm an idiot. I actually forgot about that. The double camera rider. I've talked about it so much in the past, but I forgot about it. I mean, here, I actually think it kills the entire army. Like, if you're Snooper, you could just commit onto the ram right now. It's going to head in, though. Great repairs coming out. Snooper able to keep it up. Now, remember, Baltoon is all in at this stage. There's nothing behind this. He's not taking up. You know, he's running out of deer. He hasn't set up onto farms yet. He's playing a very dangerous game. Baltoon clearly has a timing attack around 11 minutes on which he pitters off. Right now, he's looking pitiful. MAA going to be cleaned up. Rams as well. Longbows will barely get out alive. And Snooper has held with a 5 villager advantage, an age-up advantage, and now a comp advantage. These men-at-arms are going to brutalize Baltoon. Baltoon now has to double down on MAA himself to try and block this, especially considering that he's playing out to deer. He can't afford to just rush up into Castle Age. Otherwise, he'll lose this economy as well. And remember, this is an English player that's only now setting up the farms. Before anyone says, only KP? It's 10 minutes into the game. He's England. Come on, you've got to have 50 farms by now. Remember, this is a 12 villager start, not a 6. So you have to take those kind of preconceived timings and accelerate them. Snooper will wish he could accelerate this unit. The problem against this many Lombos is his men-at-arms do get picked apart. Snooper has this very kind of fine line to flirt here, where he wants to get out of the base with just enough men-at-arms to start pressuring. He can't wait too long to be safe on mass, because if he does, then Baltoon gets an option to counter. But if you go too early, this starts to happen. Lombos can just pick you apart. Like I said, Baltoon able to target the low HP ones here. The second wave men-at-arms will push back, and Snooper, remember what we said, he lacks long-term food. And Baltoon, with the one man-at-arms, has scouted everything crucial here. Wow. Okay, Snooper, he could have went north again. There's a little bit of berry to finish off there. There's the berries over here, the deer. But he thought that was too obvious of a play. And Baltoon did too. So Baltoon left one man-at-arms around the side just to scout out this when it happened. And now Snooper, I mean, you got to rush. This is like not being fed for 5 years and all of a sudden a table of food being in front of you. Get everything. Get it now. Because you will not get it for long. Baltoon back on his way around. Baltoon, who is close to getting Castle Age himself. Now, Snooper, this is problematic. He hit the Castle Age. The Men-at-Arms mass hasn't really done anything. And now there's enough English Men-at-Arms. They won't win in 1v1s. But with the assistance of the Lombos, Snooper loses this fight pretty much every day of the week. Like, long term, this is not where you want to be a Snooper, especially when Baltoon now knows that you lack the food to sustain this push. Baltoon just on point with the snipe outs as well. Notice the few men-at-arms just dragging the attention of the main mass. So most of the Lombos just get to live as they pick apart the stragglers and make their way to the back of the formation. Snooper, Snooper, Snooper is fully snooped on here. Baltoon has just kept eyeballs all around the base. Now, he did buy a little bit of time to get a decent amount of berries out of this patch, but Baltoon got more value out of this exchange. Castle Age now on the way. Deer stacks about to be expired, but farms now being set up. The English are parked and ready for this game to drag out. Snooper, however, does not look ready at all. Lombo's just going to walk past. He says, I want the villies, I want the scouts, I want everything back here. Instead of letting you push more men-at-arms, I'm just going to cut you off at your food source. And Snooper once again gets baited by this. Look what's happening. Baltoon, just one man-at-arms chasing, being chased rather by 7. That's perfect. It means these villagers, they're just dead. There's no way out of this anymore. And if I'm not mistaken, that's a no wheelbarrow build. So there's no easy escape. Snooper's just going to lose them all. All right, this is looking close to over. I mean, you've just lost. Honestly, let's just appreciate the death cries. You've just lost way too many villagers, 10 plus in this area, and your opponent just got a second TC. It does not get much worse than this if you are Snooper. Snooper, who's still playing 1 unit comp and has been scouted out building another TC. Now, this will go up, but it's known straight away. And also, because Baltoon has immediately seen that you're going in for this TC, he knows how weak you're going to be at the beginning of his Castle Age. That does not happen often, folks. That is a rarity. Yeah, here we are. Longbow's just dragging attention away. Upgrades coming through. Baltoon, it feels like he is 2 or 3 minutes away from victory. And Snooper, if there's anything this guy knows how to do, it's build more villages. It's all he has right now. And this isn't even actually efficient, remember. He hasn't gone for the eco wing, so this is a reactionary play. If you ever needed proof that this is not what Snooper's plan was, outside of the fact that he got dove, lost his TC, everything else, if you just walked in on the game now and you saw an Abbasid player with culture and military wing going 3 TCs after he already lost 1 as well, you 100% know that if he could go back in time, it would have always been Fertile Crescent. The savings just make too much sense, but now Snooper in quite the bind. And remember, folks, Baltoon, he did research siege engineering. He had rams earlier, so Baltoon, he could just build 2 more rams and repeat history. But instead, the torches are out. The men-at-arms are just going to dive in. The Lombos are just flirting in the area. Snooper on the way with his defense force, but keep in mind, Baltoon can win this fight quite comfortably. It's the Longbows that really matter here. He did lose several of them on the dive, but a lot of idle time in exchange and more troops on the way. Crossbows also now being added in by Baltoon and Snooper. Farms continue to set up behind this, though, and that's what really has me worried for Snooper. You know, yes, he got access to the deer. Yes, he got access to the berries on the right, but these are finite resources. The English are past their hardships here. They're escalating, and they're very safe with infinite food supply at home. That means they can just mass men-at-arms. Longbows, once again, just making this a decent exchange. Crossbows are starting to ride for Snooper, though. That will start to favor him the longer this goes on. Notice that actually Snooper could easily just sneak out on the berries if he needs to in a rush, but no reason to. He has got 10 idle villages here, and these are still just terrible exchanges. The extra armor on these men-at-arms is truly making the difference. The crazy part is Baltoon could have even done that better. He could have dove with a few longbows he had and taken out the crossbows. Then his men-at-arms, when left against enemy men-at-arms, will always win. But Baltoon is just kind of the point in the game, right? Like, he's got infinite food source, and he knows Snooper doesn't. So he's just looking to drain his opponent dry here. Can Snooper turn it around, though? I mean, you're running out of space. And although there's plenty for racks or whatever, my concern is you're running out of space for setting up farms. At least somewhere that's safe. So Snooper, he might be forced to wall himself into. In fact, Snooper is now building into a Mangonel. Now, this is a do-or-die type play. It's a heavy investment at this stage. Your safe wood line is getting quite thin. Losing this could be enough to lose the game, so it's very important that he defends it. Very important that he catches Baltoon off guard with it as well, which is kind of difficult. Sure, the Mangonel has the 9 tower range, but the Longbows at the 7. Usually they kind of just see you coming. Also means that you've got to keep in mind, like, when you're against the unit, it's at a longer range. Someone can maybe, like, attest. I think the travel time is the same close compared to far with the Mangonel. But there is something kind of weird about the way that staggered works at longer range. It feels like it's harder to hit your opponent when they're further away. I don't know if anyone else has noticed this, but I've seen it frequently. It just feels like Longbows are such a pain in the ass to reach. It might just be because more English players use line formation than any other civ. And I think line formation lower than, say, 15 is actually 100% better than staggered formation for dodging Mangonel shots. There we go again. Men-at-arms just getting stronger and stronger. Longbows and crossbows now. Baltoon needs a miracle hit. And I don't think he's going to get it. Vision-wise, Snooper, he's not seen with his mangoes yet. But Baltoon's about to get the info. Outpost soon to go up. Remember, Snooper has no way of kind of extending out of the starting area. And that's worrisome because he needs gold. Look how many people are working on this right now. He's only got 1,000 left. He's building a comp of men-at-arms, crossbows, and Mangonels. Do you guys know what resource those 3 units have in common? Other than population. It's the gold. I mean, I think the next fight should decide everything. Like, if Snooper can't get out and onto this gold vein to the north or to the south, he might just wave the white flag. Oh my god, he might wave the white flag anyway, but look at what Baltoon's doing. Oh god, playing English is infuriating. When they play like this, Snooper is not going to expect this tech up at all. Baltoon wisely, instead of just turn this into a tug of war, backed off entirely, while Snooper was full turtle mode. And Snooper is now very clearly invested a lot more in his army. You can see the comparison here, actually. 5,580 compared to 3,880. And yet Baltoon is going to get better bang for buck out of his in a matter of a minute, because tech up complete. Snooper, what now? You killed the outpost. Good start, bud. I mean, he needs to go. You need to get out of your base right now and find a way of pressuring. Because otherwise, the pressure's coming to you. The alternative is that Snooper needs to wall himself in right now. But he knows he'll be forfeiting a lot of the map if he does so. Oh, what do you do here? And keep in mind behind this, 4 relics soon to be banked as the 4th one's on his way home. Sacred Sight's also being captured. Snooper has a truly uphill battle ahead of him. And I'm not just talking about the slopes on this map. Baltoon. I think he genuinely just reaches a point where it's mass men-at-arms and push. I mean, he's actually... Whoa, 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 whoa. We're going for the big men. Wingard footmen are coming out to play. Oh, look at these bad lads. Yes, you are seeing that correctly. It's a man-at-arms that also murders cavalry. What more could you want from this glorious sod? Wait, do they... Why? Do they have double melee? Why do they have double melee? Is that just... I mean, I'm hoping that's just a UI bug. This would at least make more sense if they were carrying an axe in each hand, and you could just call them the Berserkers. This... What? They have 0.29 tower range and then 0.55 tower range. Wait. They have different attack speeds, but the same damage. What? I didn't notice this before. I mean, I haven't actually had a chance to cast many late game English games, thank God. But what? Apparently, they do not even get extra damage. I think they should get extra damage from crossbows because they are a heavy melee infantry, right? Yeah. I'm not sure. Maybe you're right. Maybe they don't take extra damage from crossbows. That'd be absurd. I mean, this unit just looks absurd anyway. It's got an extra 100 HP. It hits substantially harder. It hasn't got as much melee armor, is kind of the caveats here. But who cares? So apparently crossbows don't work on this. This is just bugged. So if you encounter this in your game, folks, build mangonels. Build culverins. Build like anything along that has siege damage, because it's the only way you're going to do any damage here. It's a heavy unit that does not take bonus damage from heavy. Or rather, against heavy. Okay, Snooper. Yeah. Buddy, this is... You seem to have built the wrong type of wall for Age 4. Oh, lordy. I mean, the sad part is Snooper. He was making that farm transition while we were talking about the Wingard Footman. He was trying to get up an Imperial, but now it's just going to sink into the abyss. Siege is gone. Mass Men at Arms just floods in, and from here on out, you can't help but feel this is over. I mean, Eco Wing is on the way. 2 minutes away for Snooper. With a double military pop cap, his whole economy about to be assaulted. I think you just admit defeat here. Flag likely to be raised in the next 20 seconds. All right, don't even need 20. GG gets called. An interesting build from Baltoon. Loved the early aggro into the retraction to get his late game. Crafty approach. How many people would have doubled down as the English with that type of lead and maybe thrown it away versus what Baltoon done?